Hello everyone, welcome to the Voice of Nursing. My name is Adrian Tracy, CEO of ICG. Very lucky today to be joined by Joan Pons Laplana.
Yeah.
Get that right? Clinical Fellow at NHS Digital. Welcome, Joe. Joe, tell us about how you got into your nursing career and take us up to present day.
I would love to say that I'm a nurse by vocation, but I'm not. I'm a nurse by mistake, and it's turned out to be a very good mistake. As you can see by my accent, I'm not from England, I'm from Barcelona, from Spain. And when I was growing up, I don't have anybody in my family who is from the medical profession, no nurses, no doctors, nothing. All my family are teachers. I know I didn't want to be a teacher, but apart of that, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I was 15, 16 growing up. I used to hate maths, and I used to hate chemicals and everything, but I used to love science, biology, humanities, history. I'm very curious, and I used to love knowing what other people do and everything. And I know that I wanted to do something related with biology or science or medicine or something. And at that point, I was a football fan, and I used to go every Sunday to watch the best team, so that's Barcelona. And I used to be at the top of the stands, and I used to see every time that a player got injured, I used to see a little man running onto the pitch and making the players better. I still remember his name was Angel Moore, and he was the physiotherapist of the Football Club Barcelona. And when I was 15, I decided that I wanted to be one day that man on the pitch, making the players better. When I applied for the university, in Spain, you put on a paper, you fill a paper, you have 8 options, and I put 7 schools of physiotherapy that there were in my region, and I left the last space in blank, because I said, well, I only want to be physiotherapist. My dad said, just feel something, just put something, just in case, you never know what's going to happen. And then 5 minutes walking from where I used to live, used to be a school of nursing. And I said, well, if I put nursing, at least I can wake up 5 minutes before the class and go to do that. Because my dad said, you need to go to university. What's one thing is, if you don't go to university, then you need to find a job. And at that point, I didn't want a job, because I used to love my personal life too much. And I became nursing. And by the chances is that I didn't get the qualification I needed to be a physiotherapist. And I got offered a place in the nursing university. I never been in a hospital before. I never seen a nurse before. Okay. But then I went to the first day, and progressively I did fall in love. But the first impression was that I was in a class with 97 young girls, 3 males, 2 of them gay, and myself. And I think the first impression is I'm going to have a good time in the next 3 years. That was the first impression, but then I did fall in love with nursing, it basically encapsulates everything that I used to love, history, humanity, biology, and everything that I wanted to be. And then I decided that I wanted to be an A&E nurse. At that point, the #1 series on television was George Clooney in the hospital ER. I said, well, I can be the Spanish George Clooney. I did fancy a bit of action. And I ended up then 3 years after, and I did a postgraduate in clinical care, and ended up being an A&E nurse. But unfortunately, the availability of jobs was not, there were not a lot of jobs in there. And I ended up working just on holidays, people went off sick, maternity. It was very intermittent, and to be able to have an income, I used to work as delivering pizzas. After 3 years trying to find a job and everything, I was basically one day sitting down with a friend who also was a nurse, but he was working as a supermarket cashier, and look at each other and say, after all this time, we are basically in a job that it means nothing to us, with no prospects of having a future being a nurse at the moment on that country. Then we decided to look somewhere, and I saw an advert on a newspaper that they wanted nurses to come to England, and I took advantage. One of the best things that happened to this country, that is freedom of movement, and I decided to take advantage, and I landed in Bonfire Night in 2000 in Luton, and I thought that was the best welcome that I could ever had. And I started to work in Sheffield in the Northern General Hospital in intensive care, because they thought that my English was not good enough to be in A&E. But always I say, well, it's not my English, it's that in Sheffield they don't speak English, they speak Yorkshire. And it took me a while to be able to understand what they were saying. That was my history of why I'm a nurse and why I came to England. I mean, it was an accident, but it was been a very good accident.
We agree. Now, and you've had quite an interesting career path, and when we're talking here, we talk about many different career paths and career opportunities there are for nursing. Whereas the classic, example you think of a nurse is in a ward. But you've had a really interesting career path that's taken you up to present day. Maybe talk us a little bit through that.
I think there's a misconception from the public and also from nurses itself. When I was a student, the obvious career path was to become a nurse in a hospital, and then if you wanted to progress, you became a sister. If you want then a manager's job, you became a matron. That was the pathway that university and the hospital was selling you, that there was the obvious pathway. Nobody told me when I was a student about working in quality improvement, working on research, or working as a teaching or anything. That was pathways that I discovered quite recently. And for 12 years as a nurse, I struggled with being a hospital nurse. Hospital was not for me because it was very top down, and also there was not a lot of space for creativity and curiosity. I'm very curious. I'm the typical naughty child that if you told me not to do it, I will do it. But I always looking for something who can improve some things. And you can see the beginning of my career. I only lasted probably 6 to 8 months in a job because a lot of my managers invited me to move to some place because they thought that I was quite challenging. But really what I wanted is to make things better. But I didn't know how to make things better because they never teach me quality improvement or anything at the university. They never told me how to do it. And it's only when by chance I came across with NHS Change Day, Jacqueline to Helen Bevan, and that now that's progressed to the FAP Academy, that is when I learned the tools and the ways that I can make a difference, and I can then make care for the patients better. But it took me 12 years to find what really I love about nursing. And I think there's a lot of nurses and a lot of potential nurses in the future that still see nursing as the image of Florence Nightingale, that they work on a ward and they keep giving orders from the doctors and everything. And nursing now is a science. They have evolved so much. The problem is our image is got behind. Even if you ask my 7-year-old daughter, she don't believe me. I mean, she's seen my pictures on Instagram and everything, and say, "Well, Daddy, you are not a nurse." I say, "Well, why are you not a nurse?" "Because you don't wear uniform, you don't work in the hospitals, and you don't take care for patients." I say, "Bro, yeah, but nurses don't normally do that." And I say, and then I think, she's only 7. Where have he learned what nursing look like? And then if you look at the children's book, children's stories, and how literature and everything, the image of nursing is still the hospital nurse with the uniform and giving tablets and orders from the doctor and everything. And if we want to attract the future Generation X, they call now, we need to improve this image, because nursing is one of the most exciting professions that you can be. You can be anything you want to be. You can work in the police. You can work in an airport. You can work in the army. You can work in teaching. You can work quality improvement. You can do anything you want to be, just with one title. I don't know any other profession that you can have so many variety of roles with just your title. And for me, that's my biggest regret that I have in nursing. It took me 12 years to discover that. And I'm on a mission now to tell people that nursing is anything you want to be, and that's what I want other people to know, that nursing is not just happening in a hospital, it can happen anywhere.
And how did you discover that? Or, you were obviously in that hospital environment for a number of years, and
yes.
You spoke to me, off camera, you even had a point where you were thinking about leaving nursing.
Yeah.
You were so upset at that time, and then how did you come to that conclusion to then change your career, and how do you get into digital? How does that work?
Basically, I was a point that you're younger and you have a lot of energy to fight and everything, but it's a point that at that point I was married with children and a mortgage and everything, and one day I was having dinner with my wife, and my wife said, it's time for you to settle down on a job. I cannot carry on living not knowing if you're going to be sacked in the next 6 months, because we have a family, we have a mortgage and everything, and I need you, to have a stability. And then what I decided is to stop being a rebel, and comply with the system. And I spent all my energy trying to be somebody who I wasn't. And for me, that was the biggest mistake that I made, because I became depressed. And when you spend all your energy trying to be something that you are not, then I became the worst nightmare of the nurse that I never wanted to be. The nurse who was completely disattached with work, completely disattached with the patient. Basically, I was just task orientation with nothing else. And at the end, I wanted to leave nursing, but then I was lucky that because I was so disattached, the only way I could survive is working for an NHS as a bank nurse, because then I could change the place of work, I can change variety and everything, because I do love variety and things, and also I was able to, in an agency, give me more flexibility to be who I am. And then by chance, I ended up working on a community, and that opened me a completely new world, because a community is a bit like A&E, like things that I used to like, but also you have the contact with the patient, you have the time and and to build a relationship with the patient. It's not just 4 hours target. You see this patient for 4 hours, you don't know if the patient is alive or what happened to the patient after. For me, I was a lot more fulfilled with nursing, and then I became a community nurse. Then that was in 2012, and suddenly when I was community nurse, one of an email came from the comms team saying, have you done anything that you're proud of in the last 12 months? And say, if you wanted to change one thing at work, what will you change? And then it made me think and everything, and then there was a link, and then that link opened a page to NHS Change Day. They asked you to make a pledge. If you change one thing, what will you change? Then I did pledge. I did put a pledge, and that was my start of quality improvement. I did that pledge, and that pledge then got noticed by Jackie Linton. Jackie Linton invited me to go down to London to the launch of the following year of NHS Change Day. And when I arrived to London, and I opened the door and I see all these other people, I was completely overwhelmed. I started crying, because finally I found somebody, a lot of people in the same room who are like me, innovators, curious people who are not afraid of change and everything. I still remember the advice that Jackie Linton told me. Fortunately, she's passed away, but I'll never forget her. She told me, you are precious who you are, you have a qualities, don't be somebody who you are not. And she taught me how to be a change agent, basically, and how to make change on them. And then from then I became, I enrolled to the school for change agents, it's called now. Then it gave me some tools, and then from then I did a lot of qualification, quality improvement. They teach me how to make improvement, how to challenge the system on a safe way, and that's what I needed, because for 12 years I tried to challenge the system. I was on my own, and I was very confrontational. I was quite, sometimes you managers can, if you're a manager now, I'm on the other side, quite on your face, you know, and now I learned the art of being a change agent. And that opened me a new pathway, and I decided to do quality improvement. Then from them, I became, I went to the James Paget, part of the transformation team, and I worked for the corporate team, and I did a lot of transformation with the sepsis, the flu, and other things. And then I realized one thing is that maths, believe it or not, suddenly I fall in love with the maths, because the maths became my best friend, because I didn't want to do change for change. I wanted to make sure the change was improvement. And the courses that I did, they teach me that you need to evaluate and see where it goes and everything. And suddenly I realized that a lot of my projects that I was doing, they could be better if I had technology, if I have live data that at the moment I didn't have. For example, in sepsis, I was doing every 3 months, I was doing an audit, but I was looking at data 3 months old, and I wanted to help patients that were now at the hospital. I wanted to know if somebody's septic in Ward 5, I want to be able to help now. I don't want to be them an statistic on a paper and say, what can we do for the next patient? I want to, and then I realized that I didn't know a lot about data, that my 15 years old is more savvy about technology than me. And then I thought, oh, this is a paradox in the NHS. I'm becoming now more senior. I'm now working for the chief nurse, and I'm making decisions about care and pathways. And now they asked me to make decisions about technology that I don't know anything, that a lot of the frontline know more than me. The new generation know how to use these tools and everything. And then say, if I want to carry on in the digital world, I need to learn to do that. And that's when an opportunity came about on the NHS Digital to be a fellowship, and I'm there. I was there, and I've been learning for a year about data and how to use data, intelligent use of data, and also the importance of clinicians to be on the table when the use of technology. Because technology, people think that it's about the gadget and everything. Technology is about people. And without the people, no matter what systems you put, it will not work. I think it's Virginia Henderson who said once, digital transformation is 20% technology, 80% people. And in a way, it's part of my quality improvement. I think I'm quite good about engaging and doing things different. And technology, for me, is the future that will enable to nurses and healthcare professionals to carry on giving the standard of care that at the moment we're struggling to provide to our patients.
And what would you say the most challenging, interesting part of your job at the moment is with the NHS Digital?
The most interesting is to, as I said before, I'm very curious, and I sit on a table with data analysis and everything. They have a lot of data, but they don't know what's the problem in the front line. And then I sit on the table and say, well, when I was a nurse, I had this problem. What can you do with data? And then we have fantastic conversations, and then we create products, things that they answer the questions that the professionals. For example, I've been working on a flu project with them, because I wanted to know, when I was the flu lead in the James Paget Hospital, a lot of the patients who are in the hospital, they were asking me, can you give me the vaccine? Because I'm in the hospital, I missed my appointment with the GP, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the flu vaccine. Then it's always at the back of my mind, and the answer from the hospital was, no, it's no policy from the hospital to give the vaccine, they need to go to the GP. And that was all across England. But then when I sat on that table and they said, well, we have all the data, then I asked them, can you tell me how many patients who have died from flu, they have a previous admissions just in the period of 3 months before they die? And then that was my first question. And then when they come back to me, there was a lot of patients, for me, missed opportunities, that if we have given the flu vaccine to that patient, potentially we would have saved a life. And I say, wow, can we do something about it? And now we have created a prototype and a project. Hopefully now it's gone to the things that I don't like that much. There's a lot of politics and who's going to pay for it and everything. And that's all part of me. My frustration about NHS Digital is that, okay, you have a great idea. For me, I'm very quick. I want, okay, you have an idea. Let's find a pilot at some place. Let's do it. But it's not how it works in NHS. Then it needs to go to the NHS England, and now the problem is the budget for 2019 is closed. Then need to open the 2000, and it's all bureaucracy. But hopefully, I learn also how to navigate all these systems and everything. And I'm in there. I'm quite. My fellowship is coming to an end now. It's going to end of March. But I have a very exciting new job that I'm going to as a lead nurse of digital transformation at the Mid Yorkshire hospitals. And my vision is to be paper-free in 5 years.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it's also a challenge.
Indeed. And you talk about the flu.
Yeah.
You created a game.
Yeah.
The FluBee game. How did that come about?
I like to know why the people, feedback from the people and everything, and I always wanted to improve. And the James Hospital, when I went, not a lot of staff wanted the flu vaccine. And the first thing I did is, created a questionnaire. If you don't want the flu vaccine, can you tell me why? And the first year I got, and then I put it on a document, top 50 excuse for not to have the flu jab. And then what I did is it was on a paper. I looked for answers and put some answers, and then when somebody gave me an excuse, then I used to give the answer and everything. But I found that was not very interactive with them. If you tell me something and I say, no, you are wrong, and that you will not remember that, you probably switch off and say, Joe is again, he's trying to get a target and everything. But then I came across with another of my project I was doing is sepsis, and the Focus Games did a sepsis game. And then I did some research, and I found that a lot of people like to learn from games. When I was a child, I used to play games, I used to learn and everything. I said, why not do the FluBee game with Focus Game? Then I approached them and I proposed my idea, and they said yes. And that was the beginning. And then one day we were having what we create, what we do and everything. I had the idea, these top 50 excuses, put it on answer and true, but I wanted something a bit more fun. And then when I was the flu lead, I discovered that the top 3 truths performing in the NHS must have one thing in common, that all of 3 of them, they had a mascot. And you ask me, what have to do mascot with people who wanted the flu jab? I don't know, but people love mascots. And it seems that the top 3 hospitals, they have a mascot. It must be something charming. Then I decided, if I have a flu game, I need to have a mascot. And then it was a brainstorm, me and Maria Harrison and part of my team. They said, FluBee, a jab, a sting and everything. So why don't a bee, And that's how we come FluBee, and the concept grow. And then we say, what about if you start at the bottom at the bottom of everything, and then for each question you answer correctly, you keep climbing, and at the end you became a queen bee or something, and that was the concept. And initially it was just for my hospital, but now it's gone viral and it's gone to a lot of other hospitals, NHS, also NHS Scotland, it's gone to France, it's come interested in America.
Was it an app or something?
It is an app.
Okay, so is it on iTunes?
No, because it needs to be customized for each hospital, because also the idea of the game is not just that you learn the excuses, it's also I want the staff to know where is the next flu clinic and everything. Basically, it's tailored tailor-made for each hospital, and that the focus games does that. I release all my royalties and everything. I've not had any things. I don't have any money from this game or anything. And the focus game basically only charge for the customization and everything. And it's been, and now we have the studies to show that a lot of people have had the flu vaccine because of flu game. And last year, the most improved hospital was Frimley Hospital, and they have the FluBee Game. I mean, it may be a coincidence, but FluBee Game was part of the transformation. How the Frimley Hospital was the most improved in the last year.
It's good data.
Yeah, and I mean, I also when I put my proposal to the executives in my hospital, say, you cannot do that. Say, why not? Say, we cannot ask staff to play games when they're on duty, you know, and everything. And say, but why not? You know, they're learning. It's, you know, do you want me to sit down and lecture them? You know, and in a way, I think that now rebels and change agents like me were in the best position because NHS is in a crisis. Everybody knows that we're struggling to carry on, provide some care. And I always love one quote from Einstein. Einstein said, insanity is keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that's what NHS is doing for now. That's what I keep doing the same, and expecting things to improve. Now, that's why I think it is the best opportunity for people, different people, rebels like me, to propose new ideas and new ways that 5 years ago would have seemed crazy, because there's no other options. Unless we do something different, things will not improve. And that's why, for me, we're in a crisis, but for me it's been one of the best times of my life, as my career as a nurse, because my ideas that 10 years ago my managers told me that I was a bit confrontational, a bit radical, now they have an audience, and I have, with the help of the School for Change Agents and also the FAB Academy, they have helped me to share and also to learn from other people. And it's this sharing and breaking the barriers that have made all these improvements a fantastic place to learn to each other. And that's why I love the FAB Academy so much, because I always say, if you have a problem, I cannot be the only nurse who have this problem. And my advice to anybody is, if you have a problem, don't start from zero. Go to the FAB Academy, put your problem like flu or something, and it will come probably 10, 20, 30 ideas, the things that they do in other places. And also, but the most important, they'll give you contact details of people who have the same problem as you.
So just for anyone who doesn't know, tell us a bit about what the Academy of Fabulous Stuff is, and your role as an ambassador.
For me, it's an Aladdin's cave of solutions for the problems that daily problems that as a nurse, as a manager, I have. You can find anything from infection to bed management to wounds, anything. A lot of different initiatives. And the best thing, the majority of them, they're very little cost. They're very cheap to do. And they're very effective, and they prove that they work. I mean, I always say that when I go to my manager and everything, I don't even reinvent the wheel. I call myself the king of cut and paste. I just go, normally I go to the FAB Academy, I look for that, oh, I like that, I'll take them, I'll reshape them, I'll make my own, and then what I always, very important, is I share what I do, I share the resources and everything, because it's not just take, it also give to people, because for me, improvement needs to be shared. And also, what I didn't realize that by consequence also, that produces a lot of positive energy, and the transformation that can happen with the staff and everything is absolutely amazing. Because one of the things also that I learned from the last 6 years is I cannot do change on my own. If I'm a lonely wolf, I probably end up shot like I did when I was in my early days as a nurse. That obviously I was very vulnerable. Now what I do, for me, is the most exciting, but also very easy. I apply common sense to problems. What I do is I co-create solutions. I have my managers who put me, this is NHS England has put us this target, you need to achieve sepsis, 90% of the patients, or this target, those other things. And then I go, okay, what I do is I look what we want to be. The first thing what I do is to say where we are, because if we don't know where we are, then I do an audit and everything. And then I ask the staff, I use Facebook, I use Twitter and everything. I don't use emails because people don't read emails. And I produce videos, I do a lot of other things. And then I ask the question, what is the problem? Why cannot be there? And then I have a lot of ideas from the nurses. And my job, basically, is very easy, is to remove barriers, to simplify and empower the staff to do their job. It seems simple that I say it, but and then what I do is to navigate the system that sometimes seems a bit impossible in the NHS, and I question always, why cannot we do it? And then I'm very persistent, but also very effective, and then I produce results, but then I share a lot. And one thing also I do is I celebrate for everything. Because quality improvement, it takes time to improve things. And if you look, for example, what I did in sepsis, what I did in flu, for 2 years I did not achieve any target. I mean, if you look at that from my manager point of view, I failed because for 2 years I didn't produce any results. I didn't get any money from the sequence or anything. But I say transformation takes time, and say we are going in the right direction. I cannot transform a whole system in 6 months. What we did, then I start celebrating any small gains. You have two options. You can focus what you're doing wrong. You can be nine things that go wrong, or you can focus on one thing that goes well. I'm not saying you need to ignore the 9 things that go wrong, but if you focus on what goes well, celebrate it, create positive energy, then it will be a lot easier to tackle the other 9 things that goes wrong. It's about changing your perceptions. When I used to go to meetings, I don't know if you are used to that, but the meetings that you have with the chief executive, they tend to concentrate what's going wrong in the hospital for the first 50 minutes. And the last 5 minutes rushing and what's going well. And I used to go home depressed. I say, we're doing absolutely awful in this hospital. We're not achieving anything, the patients that come and everything. And then I say, and then I propose to the executive, why don't we start otherwise? Why don't we start with what we're doing well? And then we can talk about what we're doing, not what we're doing wrong, what we need to improve.
It sets a tone of the meeting, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that can also transform the energy. It's all about energies. And because if you go on a place of work that they're telling you what you're not achieving constantly, at the end you just give up on yourself, like I used to be when I was, But if you're telling, you're doing that very well, what can we do together to improve the other things? That's completely different. It's the same problem.
Different mindset.
Completely different mindset. And when you empower the staff, for me the staff and the patients, they can go the extra mile. But the secret is to create a space when people, ideas and different can be generated and can be also supported. And that's the key in between a hospital who's successful and a one who's failing, is this energy and this space when the staff can take ownership of the problems. If you go top down, you will have retention and recruitment, you have a lot of problems. I'm not saying you don't need to go top down, there need to be that, but there need to be a coexistence between top down and also a lateral power, where the staff can also be involved and thrive on this system. Otherwise, and that's the best system. It's not easy, but that's what the best hospitals in England have in common. And what the FAP Academy is doing is to try to learn from this and to see all these other hospitals who struggle, bring them to this, for for me this ideal hospital with the staff and patients also have a very strong say of the direction of the hospital.
Well, I think that the results speak for themselves. Let me just run through, just for everyone, the Voice of Nursing, some of the numerous awards you've got in the last few years. NHS Employers Award for 2014 for Personal Fair Diverse Champion of the Year Award.
Yeah.
Hero of the Year Award at the European Diversity Awards 2014. The Equality and Inclusion of the Year at the ENEI Awards. Frontline Leader of the Year Award at the East Midlands GB Care Awards 2014. Yeah. Emerging Leader at the East Midlands NHS Recognition. British Journal of Nursing Nurse of the Year Award 2018. Yeah. And in 2013 won the DCHS Extra Mile Award for your compassionate outstanding care, and you were shortlisted for the 2014 Kate Granger Award. And wasn't there also an NHS Care and Compassion Award?
The last year we won the HSG Award for the transformation we did with the sepsis. Initially, yeah, there are a lot of awards, and I may, some people will say, oh, you focus a lot on the awards. And I say, I do love an award, but...
That's recognition again.
Yeah, but it's not false recognition for me, it's the recognition of the teams and everything, and also what the awards is giving you is a platform to access to all other things. At the beginning, yeah, I was. I need to say probably a bit too obsessed about winning awards, but now I have matured a bit more. It's about teams and everything, and it's about also when you go to these awards, you make a lot of context. And for me, the most important thing that happens on the award ceremonies is not on the podium. Is on the tables when you talk to other people and you establish contacts and relationships, and then you know somebody in the hospital Newcastle, somebody in the hospital there, and you create a networks. For me, I couldn't work without networks. Network for me it's been the difference between my previous career when I was depressed and nearly left nursing, of being a successful nurse. Is the people who surround me, the people who support me, and I could have not won any of this award or any of the thing without the people behind me who support me and point me in the right direction, because I have won a lot of awards, but one thing also, the difference between before and after, I won a lot of awards because also I've been allowed to fail a lot. Mm-hmm. To be able to come up with a successful idea, you need to try again. And learn doesn't mean learn from your trials. For me, failing is not a bad thing. It's just an opportunity to learn and make it better. Nobody who's been successful have never failed. Yeah. Nobody. It's impossible. Examples. Walt Disney, they were sacked from the newspaper because they told him they had no imagination. I love basketball. Michael Jordan, the best player in the world, he did not make the team of his school. He didn't go home and cry. He just went to the court, trained more, and then he became the best player in the world. I mean, one of the problems that NHS have is that it's completely failure averse. If you present a project to the manager and you have 99% chances of succeed, but 1% chance of failure, I can guarantee that your manager will be uneasy. And the first question is, what happens if we fail? And then I ask, what happens if we succeed? We're failing now, unless we do something different and we try something to succeed, what the worst can happen? Obviously, we're dealing with lives and everything. I'm not saying let's go crazy. Yeah. Everything needs to be trial and everything, and needs to be, governance and things, and to make sure that obviously you minimize the risk as much as possible. But NHS for me needs to be a bit more daring, Also, give a platform to curiosity. Let people be a lot more curiosity. Let's share and everything. At the moment, the transformation is coming by necessity, but for me, it should be from the beginning. We are at the breaking point, and normally when a crisis happens, it's an opportunity to grow, and that's we are an opportunity now. And for opportunity to grow, and the last 10 years forward view, for me, is digital, and that's why I decided to pursue a career with digital.
And what sort of advice would you give to someone thinking about a nursing career at the moment? Either a young student or even a mature student going into the profession.
don't think that you have a job and that will be your job for life. Be curious, explore. One of the best things that happened in England, is the same side of a different side of the same coin. Is we're short of staff, but also create an opportunity. The opportunity that if you want, every 6 months you can change your job, you can reinvent yourself. And for me, if I advise a newly qualified, is find what tickles your belly, find what you're passionate about, and then go for it. But don't stop at the first one. If after 3 months you listen to your voice in the head, if you're not 100% happy, try something else. At the moment, you can change, as I say, there's so many opportunities. Find what tickles your belly and go for it. Only then, when you're happy what you're doing, then you will make a difference. Because there's one thing that everybody who works for NHS have in common, is that we all want to make a difference. And you can only make a difference when you're happy, what you're doing. Because when I wasn't happy, I was probably totally pain and looking at myself now that I'm a manager, I would probably sack myself. But the difference between that nurse that I was in 2012 and the nurse I'm now is my passion. The passion I have now for my job. And passion produces positive energy, produces happiness. And it's like a bit of adrenaline, and it's like a bit of a drug. When you make a difference, you want more of that. And I start making a difference to a few patients. Now I'm gone up the scale now. I gone now NHS Digital. I can make a difference to 65 million of people. How many people can say, I go every day to work and what I do, I can transform the life of 65 million people? For me, it's mind-blowing. If you tell me myself, when I didn't know what I wanted to do, when I thought I wanted to do physiotherapist, then I can do that as a nurse. I will have to say, give over, you're lying to me. That is the problem we have as a nurse. We not sell our profession as well as we should be to anybody.
A lot of nurses say that, come on here, you don't have as much of a voice, if you like. You don't say how, you see nurses with all different career paths. We had Victoria Cuthill talk about genomics. You've gone into digital. We've had people who've gone to chief nursing officer roles. People have gone international. There's so much opportunity, in the field that you don't just come in and go. And also, if you want to be award nurse, that's great as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's whatever your passion is.
Yeah. People say, but people don't want to hear nurses. Say that's not true. That's not true. Challenge people. 4 or 5 years ago, I started challenging. When there's a conference on and there's a panel of members, and I used to see these 3 doctors and everything. I used to send an email to the organizer, where is the nurse? So what do you mean? Say, we have the biggest workforce and we don't have a voice on your table. And I used to say, shame on you. And I need to say, then I use sometimes social media, because I have a few followers. I used to shame them and everything, but that's in compassion. And then I realized that people is that they don't want nurses there, is that sometimes they don't know who they call.
No, it's true.
And that's when I say nurses, they need to get together and step forward and have the position that we deserve alongside doctors, physiotherapists and everything. We're not better, we're not worse. We deserve to be on the table and everything. That's why I pursue this digital also route, because I do believe that it's a completely unbalanced at the moment. The majority of chief information officers are doctors. I don't have anything against doctors, but they focus on what works better for the doctors. And that means that a lot of the things that they design, they're not fit for nurses. And for me, it's very important that each hospital, and that's my vision, they should have a chief nurse information officer on their premises. And I think we're going towards there, and that's what I want to be in 5 years. I'm a lead nurse now. I'm studying my master's of digital informatics in Leeds. I want to be a chief nurse officer, but I want to encourage other nurses to pursue this career, because the nurse of the future needs to be on these tables to when the action happens. But also, we don't need to wait to be invited. Take your deck chair and knock at the door and sit on that table. Demand to be on the table. And you realize that maybe some people don't open the door, but the majority of people, if you do it politely and everything, they're welcoming you. For example, what I've done in the last 24 months, people say, oh, there's not enough nurses on television. I've been on every single channel in England, in Spain, in Europe. I've been interviewed and had minutes talking about nursing. And when I talk to journalists, they're desperate. And I still have a lot of emails telling, oh, we want this story. Do you know any nurse who want to that? And the problem is, it's always me. The people are sick of my face. People need to go forward. They don't need to be afraid. People say, oh, we cannot be politically involved. And I said, well, you need to. You don't have any options. As long as you follow your NHS code of conduct, you're professional, you base your opinions on evidence-based practice and everything, as long as you're respectful of other people who don't that, there will be no problem. No. I've not had any problem with my political stance against Brexit or against Darcy and policy about the deal that they put on the table and everything. I was very...
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, but as long as you're polite, based in facts and everything, we need to have more dialogue. More people need to come forward. Nurse is the biggest workforce, as I say, but for me, we're suffering from chronic laryngitis. We need to stop being afraid and roar. That's why my name is Roaring Nurse on social media, because I do believe that we have the potential to make a massive difference if we get together. And that's one of the biggest problems of our profession, that sometimes we're afraid of roaring because we don't want to do that. Yes, we do. Yeah. We're only going to sort our problems if we start roaring and demanding what we really need to. And one of the first steps we need to do is to change our image from being the little sheep that we're afraid of, to step forward and demand, to be present everywhere.
And you obviously coming on to that, give us the sort of top 3 things you see sort of coming up as the sort of future of nursing. What's it look like in the next 2, 3, 4 years? Top 3, things that you're looking at, you're thinking are going to come into effect.
We have a working staffing crisis, and that will carry on. But I think people are afraid, for example, of the new associate roles, of nursing associate roles. And I always say, there's evidence to say that the nurses are the best people to care for people, but we don't need to be afraid of these associate roles. We, as nurses, we've been upskilled, and now we're doing a lot of things that 10 years ago registrars were doing. And with technology, that's what I say. For example, 17 years ago, when I was an A&E nurse, I used to use my stethoscope, and I didn't have a Dynamap, and I used to take the pulse, and I used to write it on a paper, and I used to go to the doctor for the doctor to check if my things were correct or not. If I do that now, they tell me I'm crazy. I have delegated that task of blood pressure to auxiliary, because this technology who help the auxiliary to make the decisions and things. And I say, well, technology will help also these associate roles to free the nurses to be able to do what we do best, that is care for people. Technology can, people are saying, oh, we're going to be de-skilled in the future, we're going to lose a lot of skills. Say, well, what skills? About paperwork? About, writing 25 times the name of our patient? Trying to put the password on the different 7 systems at your hospital and spend half an hour talking to the IT because you don't remember your password? The basic of nursing will remain there. What technology needs to enable, if you ask me, is to free this time that at the moment we spend doing this meaningless task that artificial intelligence and digitalization can do automatically, and then we can do to take care for the patient. Because the ratio of the number of minutes that we spend with the patient needs to improve, because otherwise it's impossible to deliver good care. And it's evidence to show that when nurses are delivering good care, the length of stay is reduced, the complications are also reduced, and also the quality of discharge and everything also is reduced. For me, that is priceless.
Good data.
Yeah.
Look, Joe, I know you're very, very busy. Thank you so much for your time today. What message would you like to give our viewers?
we need to be a bit more positive about nursing, and I put my hands up. Sometimes I go to social media and I'm very quick of throwing stones, but then I realize nursing is one of the best professions in the world, and I have a challenge. The New Year challenge for me is for every negative message that I will put on social media, the things that I don't like, I will try to put 3 things that I like from nursing, just to put a bit better balance, because and that's the only way we can attract more people, and to try to put about a bit of more energy, a positive energy in nursing, because yes, we're struggling with nurses. We have Brexit that is putting more pressure with suddenly more nurses not coming, but also we need to try to reinvent ourselves. And I'm not saying that will solve all the problems, but that will make us maybe happy, because I'm not afraid to say that last year, I'm still in counseling, I had mental health problems for the stress, anxiety and everything, not only for that, but also for the Brexit. But I thought that if instead of focusing on what's going wrong, I do what I preach, that is focus on what's going right, and then my life and the life of everybody will be better. Sometimes, as people say, sometimes it's very difficult to do what you preach, and I learned that my lesson of that. Some message to the future nurses: don't give up. We still, nursing is for me the best profession in the world. For me it's a big roller coaster, and my 20 years of nursing will show it that it's been a hate-love relationship. But the thing that I learned is find your passion, and when you have your passion, follow it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. And thank you for watching The Voice of Nursing. Thank you to all our nurses, doctors and AHPs, physios, carers that look after us all. And we'll catch up with you again soon.